on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your weekend. Today, we actually have Bitcoin finally making an attempt to break out of this downtrend that has been going on for about 3 months. So before we get too excited, is it time to celebrate? In yesterday's video, we had spoke about this descending, broadening wedge, and this was usually the type of reversal pattern you look for in markets. Now, I was not anticipating an attempt at a breakout this soon. I thought we would have maybe a few more retests, but inevitably we are attempting to break out of it today as I'm making this video. So is this just a bull trap? Is it nothing to be getting excited over? Or is this actually something we should be paying attention to? I want to look at that chart. I also want to talk about some historical data for Bitcoin that does give us some hints as to where the price could be heading for the remainder of this year. And one other thing that we need to pay attention to is the fact that the dollar has actually been pumping for over a year, but you can see right here, it is in fact starting to hit a bit of resistance. So could the DXY be looking to actually correct downwards? And is this the moment that we've all been waiting for? So that's what we're gonna talk about in today's video. Hope you're having a wonderful day. If you are not subscribed, definitely consider it. And obviously we need to talk about this because this is happening live right now. So you guys can see clearly that we've been held down multiple times by this resistance that's essentially been resistance since we had the top where Bitcoin was almost at $70,000. And currently, if we actually zoom in and have a look right here, you could see that we have in fact broken out of this. Now, the reason I'm saying not to get too excited immediately is because we are still being held down right below this blue zone territory. And this is very, very important levels for us to break through. In fact, the most important level is essentially where we hit right around this $41,600 top that we had back in January of last year. And you can see that we're not really at those levels yet. So until we break above roughly that $41,600 level, that gets us midway through this blue zone. I don't know if we should be getting too excited, but it is definitely interesting. So funny story. So I'm over, just doing my crypto research in the morning, and it says, there's this article from Finbold that says Bitcoin shows signs of an upside reversal, historical data suggests. So, I'm scrolling down here, just having a look, and all of a sudden, I realized that it's actually me talking about what we talked about in yesterday's video. So this is crazy. I was not anticipating on being in the news. Usually I report the news. So shout out to Finbold. Thank you so much for, featuring my analysis. This is incredible. No pressure, right? No pressure. Now everybody's looking at it. But in all sincerity, what we were talking about, and I did actually add this line today. You can see there has been a little bit of an upwards trend. So I guess that kind of signaled that we could have had the breakout, although we did fall below it. But ultimately, what I was looking at was this descending, broadening wedge. And you can see every time that, the moves are getting bigger and bigger. Now, I was suggesting the bearish, bullish scenario, if that makes any sense, essentially saying, maybe we come down here, freak out all the investors, come down to 28,000 before revisiting and having that breakout. But it looks like today we're attempting to have that breakout. So I don't know if this is a real breakout, if this is the one that we were waiting for. I was not anticipating on it happening this fast. I will be the first one to admit it. But if we can actually stay above this level and look at exactly where we are having that resistance too, right here where Bitcoin dropped and we had this little mini capitulation right there at that level. You can even see the resistance that was built here, the resistance all through this level. We kept trying to break up, and we are in fact sitting again below it. So we haven't really broken above that key level just yet, but the fact that the bulls are stepping in, and not to mention on top of it, we do have a day in which the S&P is falling. So we had the S&P down yesterday, and we had the S&P down today at the time that I'm making this video, but yet Bitcoin has been putting in some sort of bullish morning price action, which is very, very interesting to say the least. Now, what I wanted to talk about specifically, or what I have been talking about specifically, is the fact that we have been supported by these legacy spider lines. And you can see, obviously, I've kept this blue zone here so we can all see the area that we need to get above. To totally 100% get out of this area, you're looking at around $42,600 for Bitcoin. which sort of coincides with what I've been saying, but you can see that we have had this very, very beautiful support. And if you look below me right here, you can actually see that this RSI that was clearly showing Bitcoin was incredibly oversold. In fact, I can show you the exact level where we broke out. So we ended up breaking out right here around July 20th of 2021, right here. And you could see that that essentially marked the final bottom move for Bitcoin. And if I actually put where we have broken out of it right now, you could see that this was actually, it was actually a few days ago, but it is emulating sort of what we saw back here. So this doesn't necessarily mean that, it's just going to pump to the moon today. Keep in mind, we are heading into the weekend, and we know that the weekend price action for Bitcoin usually can get completely invalidated come Monday. So I'm not going to take it too seriously what happens over the next few days. But if we do look at this, historical RSI being oversold, and the moment that we did break the downtrend, it usually was followed by a very big Bitcoin move. So in yesterday's video, we were talking about these legacy trends, and you could see that they do coincide. We have this one starting at the peak where Bitcoin hit around 13,500. This was in June of 2019. And if we also go way back here to the absolute peak of 2017, and we follow these lines out, you could see that there has been confluence. Look, there was this resistance right here, little resistance. We came down, retested it, came down again. This is where both of the both of these legacy spider lines intersected. We had two very nice bounces there, and now we are having a bounce off of this other one as well. So as I said, the structure is holding. So for people that are saying, this is totally bearish for Bitcoin, this is terrible. I mean, ultimately, guys, if you just look at it very, very simply, Bitcoin is putting in higher highs, and it's putting in higher lows. So this is showing us that the macro trend, the overall trend for Bitcoin, if you zoom out, is in fact continuing to the upside. And I did point out the similarities between the super guppy chart like we had back here and then the major capitulation that we had back in March of 2020. And you could see that they coincided with this blue and this blue, and then the blue turned into the red. But like I said, you don't have to necessarily get the red on the super guppy. That just, the red essentially shows you massive, massive capitulation. Have we had that yet? I don't know. It could get worse. But I can tell you right now that all of these signs are lining up, showing us that we are putting in potentially a giant double bottom right here, right? So this is very, very bullish. Double bottoms are often reversal patterns. And the fact that we have stayed above the 100, and every time we get below the 50 on the weekly moving average, we usually do have a big move to the upside. And if you actually zoom in even closer, we didn't actually even touch it. We didn't actually even touch it. So this was showing that the bulls were front running the move. They were buying in, right? Because what does the smart money do? Smart money buys into the weakness and it sells into the strength. So this was when most people down here were saying it looks pretty bad, it looks pretty grim, it looks pretty weak. And you did see huge whales buying multiple purchases of over $1 million. And the craziest thing about these purchases is that essentially we were seeing them on spot exchanges, not so much on the leveraged exchanges, which is actually, arguably a good thing, right? And as I said, just showing you right now, the S&P has been rejected and is, right as I'm making this video, still falling down during a time when Bitcoin is in fact pumping. But I do like this chart that David Puel put up. I believe he's saying this is a Peter Brandt chart, and it kind of just goes over all of these terrible situations that have happened. And this is just stocks, not Bitcoin. But, you could see progressive era and World War I, the Great Depression right here, post World War II, the Great Stagflation, the crash of 87, the dot-com and housing bubbles. And then, way up here, this tiny little thing is the COVID crash. So ultimately, we know why this is happening. And it's happening because, like I said yesterday, we just hit $30 trillion worth of US debt. I don't care what these guys are saying. I don't care if they raise the rates. It doesn't matter if they try to fight inflation. Let's be real. This is the model of the fiat system. There's no way around it. And at the end of the day, you need to be looking into not financial advice, but some type of hard money asset. And for me, that's always been Bitcoin. Some people say gold. For me, it's Bitcoin. I believe, short term, things can get crazy. Long term, we know where this is heading. And one other thing I wanted to point out too, obviously be careful if this is in fact a bull trap, but you can see that this 21 exponential on the daily has been a very important level that we usually talk about. We kind of stopped talking about it for a while only because we were just in this consistent downtrend. The only time that we really had this little fake out was right here, at the end of last year. But generally speaking, for example, if we are going to have that confluence with this area, with the RSI right here, you could see that as soon as we broke above it, Bitcoin essentially went up from, the end of July all the way until September of 2021. So if we do have a similar situation right here, and you can see right now, we're not like blasting through it, but we are attempting to break above it. This could honestly signal the beginning of the reversal. But, I don't want to get too optimistic because we do still have the possibility of a fake out. It is heading into the weekend. Right here, we did have this fake out, right? You could have got really excited. Oh, it was testing it as support, and then it fell below it anyway, right? So you really, really want to see multiple days, if not even a week, staying above this level. And that would be amazing for Bitcoin. Now, I want to give a massive shout out to Tech Dev for sort of breaking down the market structures. This is the historical data that I wanted to point out. So he says, in this previous, thing, you had two macro impulses and one macro correction to date. The 0.618 top target of the next leg confluent with macro 0.618 from 2011. Strong asymmetry to the upside. I believe this impulse is far from done. And you could basically see how he breaks down the structures of the previous cycles. You can see that we are looking at these lengthening cycles as we did mention. But you could see you have the 0.618 right up in this area. That puts us right around the $200,000 level. And I did say in this is my previous video, but if you go back and you watch the video where we were looking at the Fibonacci levels, I don't have the chart pulled up right now. We had done a live calculation. We did it live, and we found that based on diminishing returns, looking at these levels when Bitcoin breaks through it, we could see Bitcoin hitting as high as $190,000 at the peak. And he puts this peak sometime just before the end of this year. So we could be seeing, maybe Bitcoin even go sideways. We could have a little bit of muddy waters in the middle, but ultimately, this level, if we do look at it, puts us at around $200,000 Bitcoin by the end of this year, which is only $10,000 off of what we were looking at. So this is why you could see that it wouldn't make sense for the cycle to be completely over. And as I already told you, but I will give a shout out to Will Clemente, he does point out that we've had 2 months of persistent spot premium over derivatives for Bitcoin. So this is something definitely worth noting. The other thing that we need to point out is the fact that the dollar index has been pumping. You can see essentially since right down here of January of last year. So we've basically been pumping for over a year. However, right now we have started to hit this resistance. You can see it formed right here. You just take these two lines, you extend it out. And then right here, we had resistance. Right here, dollar had a bit of a fake out resistance. And it looks like, again, we're not only having resistance at this level, but if we take this level back even farther, we could see right in this area has provided a very important level for the dollar, right? It was resistance down here, then it became support. And over here, you could see that we're having that confluence acting as resistance, not only from the downward sloping trend, but also from the horizontal trend as well. So I do realize that I draw all over these charts. I get really excited. I make them messy, but hopefully you guys can understand what I'm trying to show you in these charts. And, just before we move on any farther, if you have 2 minutes of your life and you want to really truly understand just how crazy $30 trillion worth of debt is, Wall Street Silver actually ended up putting this visualization. And I think you guys should watch this. If you want to skip past it, but definitely a little bit mind-blowing. when you break it down, and now that you've seen that insane visual of just how many physical dollars it would take to really show you what 30 trillion in debt is, let's look at the Bitcoin versus global assets. This is from 21 Bitcoin app. Now you can see down here, this is Bitcoin, and they have Bitcoin valued at 1 trillion, and we know that today it's actually sitting even lower than that. So this little dot down here represents Bitcoin, and this little dot is actually even smaller today because we have fallen down from the level. So here we have gold, we have agricultural land, 35 trillion, you have commercial real estate, 33 trillion, equities, 109, top 100 fiat currencies, 122, debt securities, 123, and residential real estate at 258 trillion. And this doesn't even talk about every single possible aspect of, the M2 money supply, the whatever chart you want to look at. I mean, we've gone over this on the channel. So if you can't visualize the possibility of inevitably what I believe is going to happen, I believe that this little guy down here is going to turn into the giant Pac-Man and is going to end up eating a lot of this, especially from this gold market cap right here. So we are in fact early. Oh, wait, guys, but you know what? Breaking news from India. You ready? In a recently published interview, India's financial secretary told Outlook magazine that a cryptocurrency ban could still be on the table. He also said that taxing cryptocurrencies will not necessarily make them regulated, reiterating that clarification provided by the finance minister. I think today I am done reporting on India. Make up your mind, India. Are you for it? Are you against it? Can you trade it? Can you tax it? What's going on here? Can you really tax something that's not legal? I don't really know how that works. So that is it for the India news for me. Unless we have some insane news, I'm over it. I'm done. This has been going on for 2 years. Let's move on to the big news. So Nintendo hints that it is interested in NFTs and the metaverse. According to senior analyst at MST Financial, David Gibson, they said, this is from Nintendo, we do have interest in this area. We feel the potential in this area, but we wonder what joy we can provide in this area, and this is difficult to define right now. But nevertheless, you are seeing the growth of interest in the NFT space. Not too sure what's going on with the metaverse right now. I know Facebook's having a little bit of a tough time, but you will notice that attendees of Super Bowl 56 will receive a souvenir NFT along with their ticket as part of a partnership between the NFL and Ticketmaster. The NFL or these NFTs, are going to essentially, be like virtual ticket stubs. I guess that's kind of like what they are. They say collecting ticket stubs has always been something our fans love to do, especially for the season's biggest game, and offering customized Super Bowl NFTs allows us opportunity to enhance the game day experience. So obviously it is not going anywhere, guys. I've been saying that these times of boringness, of sideways, downwards action are the moments that you need to seize, right? Smart money buys when the fear is high, right? And we can obviously tell that we have been on this downtrend for a while. And just right here on this 4-hour candle, you can actually see that we are in fact trying to break out. And yeah, personally, guys, I think if Bitcoin can get above this level right here, above that $41,600 level, it doesn't 100% get us out of like the water just yet, but it does start to make things look a lot more bullish than they have looked for the past 3 months. So thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Once again, shout out to Finbold. This was so cool. I'm in the news. I feel like a celebrity. I'm not a celebrity, but it was really cool. Thank you guys. You're awesome. I appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who has been, liking, subscribing, and commenting. You guys keep me going. You keep me going to keep making these videos every single day. I love all of you. You're awesome. Be safe out there. It is the weekend, so take it with a grain of salt. And of course, if you have not seen these videos popping up right here, right now, check them out. My name's K-Dub. Until next time, stay crypto, and of course, peace out.